Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are back here yet again on Mount Schmoedown for another fantastic episode as we discuss a very underappreciated IG competitor, Adam the Haymaker Hlavac. Like, how do you like? It's all that was one of my favorite things going back and watching these matches is how many times Ellis would butcher that man. Like, it's not that hard. The H is silent.
Yeah. I think it was just more of the more, not like he was trying to tick off Hlavac, but it was just kind of like, well, let's see if I pronounce it this way. Will he correct me? Will he not correct me?
I'm not going to lie. As soon as you said it, I put it on our list.
Yeah. Believe me, there's a lot of competitors we put down on that list. But yeah, Hlavac was definitely one of those guys I'm not saying we had to talk about, but given the fact that IG had grown so much over time, Hlavac did have himself a nice little he edged himself like a nice little spot for him in that division. Because look, we're gonna get to his strengths and weaknesses, but just from my general impression of Hlavac to me felt like one of those guys that would have thrived in the Inner Geekdom division if it was still those 5 ways, or if it was pretty much kind of like just knowledge base alone.
Mm-hmm. That's why I think he did very well in seasons 4 and 5. Seasons 4 and 5. I mean, he didn't do bad in season 6, but he just had some tough people to go up against.
Heavy hit. Biggest heavy hitters in season 6.
Yeah. And then once the division really started going with more deeper cuts on the more vaguely known Inner Geekdom movies, that's where those competitors that a lot of it's based knowledge just from watching for all those years maybe tend to struggle there. But he didn't start out in Inner Geekdom. Inner Geekdom was not his first match. He actually started as with his partner in crime, or one of his partner in crimes, who I have followed these 3, Adam Hlavac, Hector Navarro, and Augustine Rio, since they were actually on Superhero News.
Yeah.
When they were like, I have followed that, and then they went to Hyper RPG, which they are still on, but now it's Hyper Heroes. Like,
yeah.
I have followed Adam for a very long time, and he was always my favorite out of the 3. Nothing against Hector and Augustine.
Yeah, Augustine. I keep saying his name. That's why I just call him August for short.
Adam was just my favorite. All 3 of them were really good, but I just feel like I connected to Adam's viewpoints and opinions and reviews just a little bit more. Also, he's from San Diego, and I grew up in San Diego, so
I'm still here in San Diego. So it's nice to see a hometown boy in the Schmoedown.
Yeah. So first match was with Hector Navarro as Team Superhero News was against the man's man and Jason Inman of Team Trek. And again, this was in season 3 where the format of the Schmoedown was very different than what we have now. It was the per team, one competitor answered 3, then the other answered 3. And their first match, they went between Hector and Adam. They went 5 of 6. Adam got all 3: comedy, famous directors, and a very good category for him: comic book movies. Yeah, he is definitely, no doubt about that.
And if you see from Adam, like just in his teams matches, or I mean, just from that, I mean, later on when they get opponent's choice and they get Kubrick films, Adam and Hector did a very good job, really talking amongst themselves, really scoring more points than Trek in that match. They stole 3 points from Trek when they spun Cameron Diaz, and that was
the man's favorite slice, Cameron Diaz. That
bitch.
Isn't that the match where that came from?
No.
It was against Brienne. It was against Brienne and Stacy when they started saying that, because they at first they spun Cameron Diaz, but then they spun again and they got her, and then it wasn't until 6 Degrees when Cameron Diaz came up and he misses a question. They're like, again, that You know.
Yeah, sure. But
oh, go ahead, Ben.
let me just jump in here real quick. Yeah, Adam's great. He knows his stuff, unless if he doesn't know it, and then if he doesn't know it, he doesn't give a shit. I mean, he does it really fun to watch.
Yeah.
And you could say in this match that Adam and Hector, they kind of choked because they were up 10-15 going into that third round, and they only got their 2-pointer. Wow.
Well, at the time was the 1-pointer.
Oh, 1-pointer, yeah.
But you were right, because I wouldn't say choke, because the 5-pointer in Action Adventure was ridiculous. I forgot the exact question, but it was about the film Judgment Night. And if you see that 5-pointer, Adam's mind was blown by that question, because it wasn't the fact, because a film called Judgment Night, you didn't think it was possible. When I did research, of course,
they both were like, "Wait, that's Action Adventure." Like they both were very shocked by that being considered it.
Yeah, and when I did research, I'm seeing who stars in it. Emilio Estevez, Cuba Gooding Jr. The music is scored by Alan Silvestri, and we're like, is this something that's not in Silvestri's filmography now that he's become more famously known thanks to the MCU? But even then, it's just, holy crap! Like, your action adventure movies get deep cut that early on. That's a 5-point question. But at least, but even though it was a simple question, like who played the villain, it was just kind of like Adam couldn't get past how, wait, that's a movie? So it's really like he had to, in his best, like literally just pull a shot out of the dark. But even then, they did a very great show out in round 1 and 2, really having, like you said, a 10-point deficit, a 10-point lead against Team Trek, really putting them on their heels. Because Trek, they missed their 1-pointer, but they get their 3-pointer in dramas, and they get that 5-pointer in Disney to really regain the lead. Wait, not 10-point deficit. That would be 8 points up.
No, 5-point deficit. They were down 15-10 going into.
That's why I thought you said 10-point leads. I'm thinking, wait, what? That's just me.
No. Back then you couldn't do that.
That was my fault.
Like if you're down by 10 going in the final round, it's a knockout because you can only get 9 points there in the final round. And I love the entrance that they did in this one with Hector on Adam's back playing the Avengers theme, which back then they did. Like it wasn't until I believe season 6 is the first season they use original music for entrances. So it was definitely.
I think they still did. No, they still did copyrighted music. 7 was when they did original.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, because they had like each faction had their theme. So they end up losing that match. So that's kind of a bummer there. But then we go to their next match. Still superhero news.
Last team match together, which was against Heroes.
Yep, Team Heroes. And then with this match, they have the current format of the 8 questions in round 1, 6 in round 2, but it was still the 1
was still there. One winner was still there before they changed it to the 2 points.
Correct.
When Team Heroes innovation with this?
This was the one match where John Schnepp couldn't be there, so it was Robert Marvin and John Campia.
Yeah.
So, which Adam struggled there in the middle of the round, missed 3 in a row with drama, comedy, and action adventure. Yep. But they finished 8 points in round 1, and Heroes only had 9. So again, they're right there.
Very close game.
They're right there, and this is where we first see that Adam destroys movie release dates. This is where we see, Adam knows movie release dates. They go 5 of 6. They almost go perfect. They miss the final one on multiple choice, and then Heroes gets the steal. Now, it's a 1-point steal, so it's not so bad. And then they actually get that point back by getting a steal off famous characters.
And with Heroes only getting 9 points, it was still a very strong lead, still a very close game, but the odds really were in Superhero News' favor after that dominant performance Hlavac showed with movie release dates. And then when it came down to the round 3, they only missed their 3-pointer in horror. It was still a bad. No. They missed their 1-pointer in crime. They got their 3-pointer in DiCaprio.
Yeah, and then they missed the bond one.
Yeah.
So then they end up losing 22-25 again. Yeah, movie release dates.
Yes.
It would have been so funny if they get that against Mance. Like that would have just been really funny. Yeah, I was definitely surprised by that one as well. I feel like I don't know. I felt like that would be something Adam would know. So this is
on though. That was a hard one. Like it was.
So this was in season 4, and this is Adam's last teams match until this past season 7. Like he was not in singles and teams. He basically just stuck straight to IG for a very long time. Again, season 4, there wasn't really an IG division. There was these like 3, 4, and 5 ways because it was that small. They couldn't there's no reason to have these normal matches, so they just stuck everyone in. So his first one was the one with him, Donica. Is it Marchi?
Keaton Markey, Mike Carlson,
and I believe this is Mark Donica's debut match. Mark Donica went on a little bit of a tear here too. Ends up joining the Lions Den. Mark Donica does get a title shot against Jason Inman, and I believe this was the only season. Yes. Because I think he got a great job, so he kind of was more focused on that. I think Christian has tried to get him back a couple times, but he's just I guess he's not as focused. I think he just really enjoys his job. So
I think the job also required him to move outside of California. So
yes, I believe he had to move to Massachusetts. I thought that's what I heard, which is actually kind of funny because a majority of the Lions Den is from that part.
Yeah, talking about joining the Lions Den, perfect union.
Yeah, right. We will get to that. I thought that's one of my favorite moments that he's ever done.
Yeah, but looking at the stats though in the first round, he comes very he and Donica were very close together at the end.
3 categories he misses in that are the 3 that he struggles with throughout his entire career: Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter.
Yeah, he and Mark are tied at the end because. He was only behind Donica by 1 point, but then Donica misses in mixed bag at the end of round 1 and ties.
Yeah, they end up tying. And with these 5 ways, round 2 is a little bit different. It's not 5 questions per because it would take forever to get through everyone. It's only 3. Adam gets DCEU, which we all know he does very well at. He goes perfect.
Questions, yeah.
He gets all 3, but he did check down for his first one, so he doesn't get all possible points. He gets 3 steal opportunities. He gets 2 with Coy Jandreau, current manager of the Quirky Mercs, by the way. 1 is a multiple choice. He does, however, miss a steal for Mike Carlson in MCU. Yeah. So at the end,
still giving him that edge in the 3rd round.
Yeah, which gives him that edge there, where he's down by 1 point going into that final round. We will go over this later, but Adam was one of those competitors that picked the same 4 numbers. He picked a lot of the same numbers. And his first 2 matches in teams, round 3 really is what lost him the match. So picking numbers literally decides the match so many times. Because I feel if the competitors knew what the numbers transpired to, they'd be able to kind of pick their own fate, which is what I like, is that there's that random chance involved. Because if the Schmoedown was just guys answering movie trivia, like bar trivia, I wouldn't enjoy it as much. I like the randomness, the craziness, the characters involved. It is a sport, but it's not a sport.
Actual match structure, yeah.
It's really people have asked me, how is a sport but not a sport? Well, in a sport, everyone gets the same number of opportunities. That's the only, but in terms of there's very intense competition involved. Like it feels like a sport, but there's just certain aspects that really aren't a sport. So I'm going to try and actually pull up him answering that question because I find it just so hilarious. Him answering that Hobbit question.
Oh yeah, name 4 of the 12 Hobbit dwarves. Name 4 of the 12 dwarves in Thorne's company in Hobbit in the Hobbit films.
Got it up here. We'll play this real quick because I just find this one of the funniest things he's ever done.
Time today.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Known as the Hobbit.
That
I had a great time today.
yeah, he knew it was over.
Other than Thorin, besides Thorin, name 4 of the 12 remaining
Hold on. Let me pause this real quick. Wait
of
for
the
it.
12.
Oh, look on his face. Oh, look on his face. He's like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me with this."
It's like the same look. It's like the same look Whitwer had on his face when he realized he got the same question. The difference is he just has no fucking clue what the answer.
Agreed. He's like old shit.
Hobbit films.
His like
Give you a little more time.
He
than
has
15
3
seconds on
repeats.
this one. You
Luke
do need-
Skywalker, Han Solo, Chewbacca, Princess Leia.
like he just like he knows he won't get there. He has 3 repeats. Could he have used them to try and get there? Yes,
Yeah.
but he knows that he never would have pulled it. So he's
And at the same time, I don't think he was gonna be that much of a like. He wouldn't do like what Bateman and Roka would do, like waste fucking time on something.
because
He just cut the BS and just went to it. Like, yeah, I don't know it.
Like,
I'm not
if-
gonna drag this out.
like if you feel like you like if it's on the tip of your tongue and you feel like you'll get there, then use them. But if it's like one of those things you're like, I have no damn idea what it is, why delay the inevitable? Like you just don't know it. So it's just that might be my favorite Adam moment of all time. Is
That's a good one for
like,
sure.
4 to 12. He's like, "Are you kidding me? The Hobbit?" And he names because he loves Star Wars. He just names.
He just can't really. They just don't come together.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It was definitely very funny. But his next match is I guess you could say, Hyper Heroes Civil War.
Yeah.
Him facing the Nightmare Hector Navarro. Where they both do okay in round 1. They go 6 for 6. I mean, 6 of 10.
Yeah.
Again, misses 3 of the 4 misses are the things he struggles with: Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, and Harry Potter.
He also misses Marvel, which I mean,
which I was surprised by that one. Because after going through these matches, his strong ones are Marvel, MCU, DC, DCEU, and Star Wars. So I was definitely shocked that he missed.
Oh, he's never. I don't think he's ever missed a mixed bag question throughout his entire career. No, once he has missed it once. Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
I was like, because I feel like twice he went 6 of 8. He went 6 of 8 for mixed bag.
Yeah, he missed
So
it.
moving on to round 2, gets movie release dates. Does very well. He goes 4 of 5, goes multiple choice twice, misses it once. Hector does get a steal. But Adam had a real shot here to get some serious steal points in this match.
Or at least get a knockout victory because Hector gets the opponent's choice.
Was Middle Earth. I think we'll talk about that now. Adam and Adam, Hobbit, and Middle Earth are his kryptonite. Like anytime he gets those, he just, like he said in the post-match interview against the Barbarian in last year's Inner Geekdom tournament, it just doesn't stick. He says he does review it, he does study it, but just the names and everything, it just doesn't stick. So here,
and I don't blame him. I really don't blame him. Hobbit is look, the books itself is very well crafted and well written to where there is backstory and in-depth lore to where even if you just watch the film, you're barely just scratching the surface on what the Lord of the Rings universe is. So it's like you have to get involved. You have to get invested into this, not day one-ish, to where like if you want to know this, you have
round one alone, he went 0 for 10 in Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Over 10.
for 10.
Like you would think that someone would get like 1 or 2 easy ones, but man, that is the worst. And
if he gets like actors, I'm pretty sure if he gets actor questions.
But they were all plot based. I believe they're all plot based. So
they were, yeah. Like if he just given actor questions for Lord of the Rings, then he will definitely be able to answer those questions.
He also got Middle Earth twice in round 2, both off opponent's choice, by the way. Both off opponent's choice. He ends up going 3 for 8. He ends up going multiple choice 6 times between them all. So yeah, that's one thing you don't get in round 1. You can't check down. You can't go multiple choice to get some help. So the only time he ever got a Middle Earth question right was in his final match in Inner Geekdom against Craig the Barbarian last season. He goes 3 for 5.
Yeah.
That, like, if you would ask anyone when they think Adam Hlavac, what do they think of? He doesn't know Middle Earth.
Yep.
I can almost guarantee any fan or competitor that has been involved or watched for a while will say, Adam Hlavac, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Ellis doesn't know how to pronounce his last name, and he doesn't know Middle Earth. Like, yeah. I kind of want to do a poll in the Facebook group. Say, all right, so we covered Adam Hlavac. What's the first thing that pops into your head about Adam Hlavac?
And then just let it loose.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest. Look, Adam Hlavac, he
won the match though. He won the match.
He won
the match. I want this one. Like when he got opponent's choice. I mean, obviously because he knew Hector very well. It really was like he can't give him comments because pretty sure Hector would go through that. So
I think he was trying to think. The thing with opponent's choice, you got to think. Do you go with something that they don't know well, but you can't steal, or do you go with something that if they miss, you can steal? It's a very strategic move. It's definitely something that you can tell certain competitors take a decent amount of time to work on.
Yeah,
right. Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you were frozen or you just weren't moving because you weren't moving there for like 10 seconds. So I wasn't sure if you were like frozen. Oh. So I just
maybe have to adjust the lighting for me for a second. Then,
but no, it's a very strategic move on if you get opponent's choice.
Yeah,
you give them something that if they miss, you can steal without a doubt and give yourself points, or you just give them something that they don't know whatsoever, and maybe you don't know as well.
I wouldn't risk it.
Leo, it wasn't just against Smets that he did. Like, Craig gave this to him as well. Like, they both gave him Middle Earth because both of them are huge game tape reviewers of opponents. So they knew right away, opponent's choice, no debate, giving him Middle Earth. So that is the one thing that will always haunt Adam. Is I feel like if he was 50, like if he was 5 of 10, like if he was halfway decent on Middle Earth, I don't think he beat Smets necessarily because Smets in that match was just on fire.
Yeah. Smets was a house of fire, going perfect.
This was the first Don't Tell Peter match, so Smets was completely motivated in this match to get back to that belt. Well, actually, he wasn't there, but he never got there initially. But making his way back to have the chance to get that belt, I think it was possible if he does decent with it against Craig that there's the possibility that he wins that match. I think there's a decent chance that if he does somewhat well there, I mean, he gets 3 points, but in round 2, in the current division for Inner Geekdom, 3 of 10 will not, because you have the chance for 10 points in round 2 with Inner Geekdom. I think to stay in it, you got to be at least 5 or 6 points to keep yourself within that shot. So,
or at least get yourself into the 3rd round, because at this point, when you're up against powerhouses like Smets or Dan Murrell or I mean, I'm not talking about IG. I mean, when you're up against powerhouses that clean around or have like a 3 or 4 point lead ahead of you going into the second round, you at least need to keep that. You either need to keep that the same points gap or try to close it in the second round. But most likely, it comes to Aaron Deacon for Hlavac. If it was that, let's say hypothetically in his match against Smets, he does not get Middle Earth or he doesn't get opponent's choice. But he spins himself into Trek and Harry Potter. Theoretically, he could have gotten into the third round, no doubt in my mind. But let's say he did study up. But look at that match against Smets. Hlavac, of course, during that time with Hyper RPG, he was doing coverage at Comic-Con, and he did run from Hall H to get to that event. So,
Wow.
and this is not making excuses for Hlavac. He showed a lot of heart to actually play.
I think he was pretty exhausted because that was the MCU panel.
Yes, and that panel was bonkers as shit.
Yeah, that was pretty intense. So I think he may have been a little bit more exhausted. So his thinking maybe was not all the way there. So he does end up beating Hector, though. He does beat Hector in that match.
Yeah.
So if he's studying, do you think can he keep up with today's matches?
I think any competitor that is willing to study is always a threat.
Yeah.
Because that's what the Schmoedown is nowadays. If you study and the wheel is in your favor, you have a really good shot to win any match.
Yeah.
It's the competitors that don't necessarily study, the ones that know they have a weakness, Erwin, and animation. Just there's certain competitors that just accept it and they just hope that it doesn't come back to bite them. But if you don't study in today's version of the Schmoedown, you're not going to be successful.
Outside of studying, if you don't try to make the effort at least to watch, understand more films. Like I'll say, for example, if I'm playing against someone like let's say if I'm playing in a match against Whitney Seipel, I know I'm terrible at horror films. I would at least try to make the effort to watch some horror films from at least like 2 horror films from a decade to get the knowledge in my head.
Or just browse IMDb for some notable ones.
Yeah.
Just so you have a vague idea. Maybe something pops into your head if you get that slice. So
I really tried to understand like what if I got directors. Who are the most notable directors I may get in a category? Would I get Barry Levinson, Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg? Would I get some Spike Lee questions? Or will they try to go back with some Hitchcock or maybe with the directors that I can't say their names. George Cukor, like the guys who did the musicals during the time during the 50s and 60s Hollywood films. 40s and 50s. See, it's just more of like you're really trying to stretch your brain out when it comes to the single slice like directors. But in genres alone, something like IMDb is always helpful for you to at least gauge the surface. So then you can look at what might be a deep cut in that category.
Mm-hmm. So, like Brian said, yes, this was the unofficial first match because they hadn't actually the whole Thad and Mike thing hadn't started with the IG tournament. So yeah, this was the unofficial first round. So Adam then plays Marquis, where he destroys her in round 1.
This was
8-1. 8-1.
Yeah.
And what's odd is he missed Star Wars. He missed Star Wars in this first round, which I'm very surprised by because I know Adam loves Star Wars.
Yeah,
Adam is a huge Star Wars guy. So
it might have been a hard question or something.
I don't think it was a hard question.
I don't write down the questions when I'm writing because I don't.
Yeah, I write down the categories and hopefully that the question will be stored in my brain because otherwise my notebook would be filled to the brim of this question is in this category, question in this category. But I think but what you're saying, yeah, it really was.
Okay. According to Yoda, what does a Jedi never use the Force for?
Oh, attack. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not the easiest Star Wars question, so it's not a big deal that he.
They didn't say Empire Strikes Back though. It was just pretty much Yoda the character, so that leaves a lot open. But like I said, it's all about your critical thinking once you hear that question, especially in a category like Star Wars or MCU. What film did this come from? Especially in the line of quotes.
She was not happy about that.
Yeah, she went off in her phone. She even tried to attack Adam. She was pissed.
Apparently, she was prepping and studying for Emma, but I'm like, round one, there's no prepping or studying involved for a certain person in round one. It's round two is really where the trying to game plan for a certain person comes into play. Adam gets a very broad topic of villains. Like, if you get the heroes and villains one, like, they can get it's like a mixed bag. Like, there's anything. He does pretty well there. He goes 4 or 5. He does check down twice. He misses one where she gets the steal. She, however, Marquis gets DCEU, where Adam gets 3 points in steals. He ends up getting the knockout, winning 18-4. Which I believe this is his only knockout. I believe
it is. Yeah, it is. Every match he's played in has either been very close or he's been knocked out.
Yeah. So I find it interesting. This match was probably his best match ever played. Next match, he starts very poorly. He did not get off to a hot start against Kalinowski.
Yeah. And this was Mike at the time when he was on fire. A reinvigorated, a renewed Mike Kalinowski. So
Mike goes perfect and gets the bonus in this match in round one. So
wait, I'm sorry. Was this a match that came right after the Flash Gordon match, or was it not?
No. That's not till season 6.
Oh, okay. My bad.
This match came after Collision when the Anarchy tournament was introduced.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So
it's okay. Yeah, that's all right.
Adam, like, he misses DCU, Middle Earth, Harry Potter, Marvel, Star Trek. Like, he doesn't get a question until question 7. Then he goes on a streak. He gets 7, 8, and 9. But like I said, Mike goes perfect and gets the bonus. So he's already down 11-3 in round 1. But fate is on Adam's side and gives him DCEU, which really helped him out. He does go perfect, but he did check down twice. So he ends up getting 8 points, which is not bad. So he's tied with Mike, but Mike hasn't answered a question yet. So
he gets spinner's choice. MCU increases that lead, but Hlavac did something very great in the third round. He gets all of his 3 questions. His 2-pointer in Marvel, 3-pointer in scores and soundtracks, his 5-pointer in DCEU to avoid a knockout. He avoids a knockout in the second round and avoids a knockout in the third round. He still loses, but yeah.
It would be really interesting to see what this match would say. Adam gets 6 or 7 points. I think he ends up pushing Mike probably because I think Mike only had to answer his 2. 2-pointer because they are tied after Adam hits all 3. So it's interesting. To see what that match would have been like. Say Adam goes decent. He just struggled right off the bat. He misses the first 6 questions. Like, in today's Intergeekdom, you miss 1 question in round 1, it's potentially over for you.
Yeah.
Like, that's how deep IG is right now. Like, watching any IG match, I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm like, oh my God, what are we getting here? What are we getting here? What are we getting? Yeah. Like, it's very intense. So he does lose there. His next, well, actually, I don't think it's his next match, but it's the next match. It's not. I don't believe it was his next match, but the next one I watched was the movie release dates exhibition.
Oh my God!
Ben Bateman, Scott Mantz, and Sam Levine. All 4 of them were involved.
Killers on the best. Killers in movie release dates. I mean,
again, Adam didn't do terribly. He's definitely better than the average Schmoedown competitor, but Bateman and Mantz are literally gods when it comes to movie release dates. They just absolutely destroy. So the thing with this is there's no categories. It's just they just gave out, like, it would have been interesting to actually look at the questions and try and make up categories going through and see how Adam did. But
This is like one of the earlier. This is like one of the very early Patreon exhibition matches, like before they finally retuned that.
Two rounds. There was round one, which is just normal questions asking for 30 minutes straight. 30 minutes straight. There was a total of 59 questions asked. Adam gets 35, which again is not bad, but you're playing Mance and Bateman, and again, that's just not going to get it done. And then they go to a speed round, which I believe was 2 minutes. They did
2 minutes, but within that time, looking at the overall total questions, there's 59 questions asked in that first round because it was a time match. And then counting the missed questions, 83 movie release dates questions were asked in total. So if you do the math in that situation, that was around 24 extra questions asked in the speed round.
So you think that's 12 a minute? It's like 5 seconds. It's like 5 seconds per question.
Yeah.
Adam buzzed in 4 times in the speed round, but he only got 1 point. So he ends up, because of speed round, when you buzz in and you get it wrong, you lose a point. So Adam actually ends up with 33 points.
Yes.
Which, in my opinion, is a great match. He's a lot better than the average competitor for movie release dates. It's just Mance, Bateman, and Levine are just on a whole nother level when it comes to Intergeekdom.
But the way in the speed round, Levine only gets 1 question in that speed round. But yeah, in the general one, Levine was like with points.
Because Bateman was like this. Bateman was like this during the speed round. Like he was. There were so many times where he was
pressing a button and just pressing it every single time, while everyone else's hands were like hovering it. Bateman's was like this damn close to where all he had to do was just tap.
Like I think because Bateman was because I think Bateman was down by like 4 or 5 going into that speed round, so he had to make up some ground. So he had to take the risk of hearing the first couple words and trying to anticipate what the question was. There were several questions that if he had heard the entire question, Bateman gets it right.
Yeah, he jumped the gun a lot, honestly, which led to all those constant misses.
He only lost by 2 though. Bateman only lost by 2 points. So again, you think about it, but the thing is, if they listen to the whole question, there's a chance that 1 or 2, maybe 3 questions don't get asked.
Yeah.
So it's definitely in there. His next regular match.
I was just checking Mance, and Mance throughout after the end of that first round, out of those 59, he only got 49 right. So he only missed 10 questions there, and then of course the points he did earn, which did give him that win, but. Even then, with a 5-point differential between him and Bateman going on. And all Mance had to do was just to maintain a solid lead. And the fact that Ben was rushing just to get those points was his unfortunate downfall. And go ahead.
I'm just curious. I forgot. Has there been another release date match?
There was supposed to be in season 7, but I think just due to scheduling, Mance and Bateman head-to-head. But unfortunately, just I think due to scheduling, it just wasn't able to be worked out.
Because a lot of Patreon exhibition matches that had original players were rescheduled. Like I remember in the Bond exhibition match that happened this season, Emma Fyfe was actually originally supposed to be a part of it, and then she stepped away.
I think did they get Jay to apply? Like I know they got someone like last minute.
Yeah, Jay was in that match, I believe. It was Mike, Jay, and Brad Gilmore.
There was one match where Jay had to fill in like the day of. It might have been the MCU match where he had to fill in the same day, which is like that's really difficult. That's really difficult.
And he was like and he still came in second in that match, which was funny.
That shows how well he knows MCU. That he doesn't need to study. Okay. Yeah, like I knew he. Okay, that's what.
Oh no, it was Franco and Brad and Mike and James Bond. Sorry, not Jay.
Yeah, that James Bond exhibition was really good. So Adam's next match was against the Crusher.
That was a number 1 contenders match to play against Mike for the throwdown.
Yes, that was at the start of season 6. I believe that was the first match of season 6, actually.
I think this came after. This came. What was? This was after. This was one of the matches after. It came after a single.
I mean, no, it wasn't. It was one of the first. It was the first Intergeek.
IG. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm thinking. I've gone through those playlists so many times. It's just like, oh, what was first? What was this? What this came before? So
It's so confusing.
So, Adam does okay in round one. He misses Star Trek, Middle Earth, Harry Potter, and Heroes and Villains. Rachel,
but he's able to keep himself at least a good distance from Rachel, who at the time, I mean, she was still kind of there.
Like, you just got to be in striking distance if you're gonna like. You can't do what he did against Mike. You can't go 3 points and Mike goes perfect and gets the bonus. The match is over then. Like, if that was like if Snyder did that in a match, he wouldn't even try in round two.
No, he'd be out. He'd be done. And this would be Snyder before he had gotten Roxy. Like, Snyder would literally check himself out.
Roxy would be like all on him, like she was in that team's title match at Spectacular. She would. Oh
yeah, just like and also when Snyder went up against Oyama as well in New York. Yeah, Roxy would be on him. So
he gets Star Wars in round two. Doesn't do the best.
No.
He gets 6 points. He does lose a 2-point steal to Rachel, which was pretty big.
Yeah.
So Rachel gets opponent's choice, and Adam gives her movie release dates. Rachel does really well. I think a lot of people were surprised in how well Rachel knew movie release dates. So,
yeah. But it's literally like it was definitely that one time where. I mean, Rachel, she was a beast in IG, and it's literally like you can't give her any of the normal movies on that category because you think she'd nail it. So Hlavac, honestly, he did strategically think maybe she's not that great in release dates to where he can recover and get some points. But like you said, she did surprisingly well. It's another sleeve. It's like another ace up Rachel's sleeve to where you realize, is there anything she doesn't know?
Right. Rachel was one of the best. Rachel is definitely one of the best competitors that we've ever seen.
Was that match Rachel and Adam, was that early in your career?
I would say it's like in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't necessarily
because it was by TKO, unfortunately.
Because she won this match. She then goes to play Mike at Throwdown.
Yeah.
And that's when she first gets the IG title.
No, but she's here with Ken at this point, or is she already with the club?
She and Clark officially had joined the Five Club, and I think is when they had won the team's championship as well. So.
Okay.
This is where in Rachel's career she was on the precipice of becoming two-belt crusher or crusher.
Nice. I like what you're in there.
So Adam's next match is against Eric Zipper, D-Man Zipper. Hlavac gets 8 points.
Yeah, he was ahead in that round.
Misses Middle Earth, Harry Potter. I feel like that's a trend we have going here. I keep saying, "Oh, he missed Harry Potter, Middle Earth." Like, we will go over his stats there at the end, but that is a very common trend. He gets DC in round two.
Yeah.
Does fairly well.
Yeah.
He does lose 3 points in steal. So, yeah.
Yep. Zippity-doo-dah. And yeah, this was when Zipper became part of the dungeon when he was formed, when he had joined Kaiser. And this was when Zipper was trying to get, he broken away from Winston of World's Finest, trying to carve his own path, joins Kaiser. And it's just kind of like, this match, like at the end of it, it was a tie game because Zipper was able to close that gap. And it really came down to, it was either of their match to lose. It was either Zipper or Hlavac's match to lose. And luckily, Hlavac just came out on top of it by just being able to get his three-pointer in Heroes.
Yeah. What's surprising, Adam got a Hobbit for his 2-pointer, and he got it correct.
Yeah. He breaks his streak.
Good for him.
So he does end up winning that match. So he's definitely – Adam was always a decent player in IG. It's just when he gets Hobbit or Middle Earth, he's just like, I don't know this whatsoever. So unless he has a chance to
it's
check
like he's literally trying to will his brain back. Like you said, he watches the movies, he studies them, but it doesn't stick. It's like best examples when you're trained, like when you're an athlete, or like if you're a boxer, you train your life in order to condition your body to enable to move before your brain can think. But there's those matches to where your body just won't move, no matter how well conditioned you are, to where you're literally commanding them, like, move to the left, move to the right to avoid getting a hit. And that's just like what Hlavac is when it comes to Middle Earth. He's like literally trying to push his brain to be like, I know this plot point question. Like, I should know the name of Sauron's tower. I should know what is the name of Sauron's location. I should know what happened to King Theoden, but or why Eomer was banished. Like, he should know these questions, but the problem is his brain is just not getting there, and it's difficult because when you see him on Hyper RPG, or when he's doing these nice little talks with Hector and Jesus Christ, now I'm forgetting his name. August. It's just kind of like he has that passion, he has the knowledge when they're doing that great back and forth. It's just when it's him alone there and he's got that constrained time limit, it's really like he's bouncing off the walls, just trying to get to that question.
Yeah, so he does win this match. He then goes and has the worst match of his career. There's no doubt about it. Only he faces Kevin the Smasher Smets at San Diego Comic-Con. This was the undercard to the Mike and Rachel match, which may be one of the best IG matches we've ever seen, which is so his match is definitely, it's not the worst IG match ever, because that belongs to Emily Rose Jacobson and Winston Marshall.
Oof.
I'm pretty sure the score was like 9-5. Like, that was
7,
nothing
6,
against Winston and Emily Rose, but oof, that was a rough one. Yeah. So he gets Kevin
only misses in Star Wars, so that really gave Adam a lot of hope. Like, even then, he was still holding up very well. Yeah, he misses 2 questions. He misses 3 questions for a potential 2 questions for a potential perfect round. But even then, Smets misses a question in Star Wars that keeps him alive. So, but yeah, like you're about to say, he gets opponent's choice after Smets had gone perfect in villains, clean sweep.
It's just funny because Smets was supposed to be a villain, but he's not. Everyone loves Smets. He was supposed to be a major heel, but it's not.
Would you call Smets a tweener or is he a face?
Well, I think the fact that Kaiser was meant to be the mouth was supposed to make Smets a villain.
I'll say a tweener.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I think when he's very motivated, he is a heel. Like, when he wants to get his point across, but the person of Kevin Smets is a complete face.
Yeah, I know I can't see him being a heel anymore. I mean,
I can.
Oh, if he comes back, there's no way he's a heel. There's no way.
Yeah.
Like, how terrible would you feel hating on a man that recovers from colon cancer? Like, you would have to feel like the worst human being on the earth.
Right.
To hate on Kevin Smets. So.
Smets would have to. In Schmoedown kayfabe way, Smets would have to do something very despicable in a match in order to get some people to start hating him. He'd have to go to what Sean did to him. Kevin would have to do what Sean was doing to him in the IG Championship match, toying with him throughout the entire match.
I've been a fan of Kevin Smets since his first match. Like, he was supposed to be the evil bad guy, but I loved it. I was all on the Kevin Smets hype train. Like, I've been on.
Yeah.
Like,
to me, I wanted to hate off Kevin Smets, but then when he had his match up against Hector, to where he says that line that Kaiser threw me in the dungeon and gave me nothing but a diet Dr. Pepper, I cracked up. I couldn't hate it after that line because I'm like, who else can make that work?
Exactly. So he does get knocked out there. We go into season 7. We have the draft. We have the factions. Adam Hlavac gets drafted to Swag drip. By the Swaggy Blurg, Winston A. Marshall. He gets teamed up with Lightning Liz Shannon Miller. I'm just so bummed. We only got one match out of him. Only got one match out of this team. Rogue 2. Love the name, by the way. Absolutely love the name, by the way. Simply fantastic. They go against the Wicked, which is Jared Habon and Jim Vavida.
It's a great match, and
the name makes sense for them, by the way, because they're both from Boston, so they're wicked fans.
Wicked fun, wicked smart. You know, they get everything wicked correct. You know, they got there with Roxy there, so they can't be beaten. But oh my god, the opening of that fucking once they came out, Winston. Oh my god,
that's moment of the year. I'm sorry, this was moment of the year. Winston.
This is why it pisses me off. This was not nominated. This is the biggest snub of the Schmoedown Awards that we didn't get. Winston doing a Bachelor-esque promo to Roxy. If you're fine, go right ahead. But I'll still be like, yes. If the Schmoedown Awards is fantastic, but if we're going to talk about snubs, this was a big fucking snub for moment of the year. Winston doing that L, because that started off the rivalry between him and Roxy of them managers. This wasn't like Roxy and Shannon or Winston and Shannon to where it was like a perfect like it was pretty much, I don't like you, I don't like this. I mean, sure, they like each other off screen, but it wasn't more of a hate relationship. This was more of two friends all of a sudden going,
is that the other faction?
Oh my god! Oh yeah, okay, we'll jump here.
Winston, this was so freaking amazing.
It's all good. Before we start though, Roxy, where are you?
This shows Winston as a natural performer.
This is so great. I love this.
I don't know what camera got. This is
the music coming into.
We've been good friends for a long time, and it's been amazing co-hosting with you on SCN Live, and you have me on Live at the Roxy. We've
so
really
great.
Good friends, and so before we start this match, I just wanted to ask you a question. Roxy,
here.
This L.
Will you accept this L? Jerry just out and he's like, no, I will not accept this. Oh my gosh.
So God, it was so fucking good. Oh, biggest snub of the year. I'll fucking post this. I will post this in the Schmoedown Facebook page.
Oh, why do you think I brought this up? We are going to clip this out and we're going to post this in the Schmoedown Facebook group and on the channel.
I'm going to say this right now to all of you. You snubbed that moment. You guys forgot about that L, didn't you? Y'all forgot about that L because come on. Seriously. Even when the deal back, guess what? Roxy said she wanted to give Winston back that L. She wanted to give him back that L. God.
Way better.
Oh, yeah.
Way better
presentation. So, round one, wow. Adam and Liz, great combination. They both miss one question. Liz misses the first one. Adam misses fantasy sci-fi.
Yeah.
So, what I was surprised in this was Jared Habon is not that bad in general trivia. Like, I was like, oh, this team, Jared, I knew he was straight.
Because he has played a few Intergeekdom matches. I mean, of course, his first match, of course, that 5-way, which he wins by knocking out all of them, but that's because he was a different opponent. But then he plays against Donica. He doesn't win, but then he plays against Mike, loses by KO. But this was a different Mike at that time. So it would have been difficult to judge Jared as a competitor. And he had said before, after Geekdom, he wanted to play in singles or in teams. This is, I think, the only time he ever got the chance to prove himself.
I believe he's in the draft this year, too. So yes. I think...
Yes, he is. He's on that
I think someone... I wouldn't be surprised if Roxy takes him in the later rounds.
She does have two options. She does have 2 round 3 draft picks. Because
I don't know if he'll go that early.
Yeah,
like 7 or 8. Like something's like she's like, all right, my roster's pretty full. Maybe just get like a backup for IG and maybe someone to help with teams.
Yeah.
Round 2, they get DC and Adam destroys. Adam just flexes his muscles in DC there.
I mean, they don't sleep it, but they get all 6 questions correct. Oh no! The Wicked gets a 1-point steal from them. So, but still.
So I forgot. This is actually so Adam gets 2 knockout / TKOs because they get a TKO in this match. So
And one other thing I do want to talk about this match with the Rogue Chicken Wicked. This was also a very good redemption for Vejvoda because when we talked about it with Matt Nelson top 10 and that match against Top Dat when Vejvoda gave Roca biopics, everyone gave him shit for that. But as someone who has seen Vejvoda from a couple of IGN shows, he is very passionate for biopics and Western films. And he even said in his post-interview, he thought there could have been opportunity for steals. And let's be honest, throughout the entire Schmoedown, we have constantly seen players who get their strengths. It's 50-50. They either kill it or they suffer for it. We've like Mark Riley with scores and soundtrack. We've seen that with Mance. He's a movie release dates guy, but every time he got movie release dates, he never dominates it. He always normally comes out with either 6 points or 5 points in movie release dates. And talk about team action. Every time they get action adventure, they don't dominate either. And with JTE, he doesn't dominate.
I swear, we haven't had team action, which feels like a lifetime ago. Like, I don't believe they had I think their last match was the tackle.
It was, yeah. Their last match.
Really? That long ago? Wow.
No, Shire Wolves. They played the Shire Wolves at the live event. Yeah. That was their last match.
Oh my God, that.
Because then came Anarchy later on.
Post match out with that live event. Oh, it's so beautiful.
What's your name?
Yeah.
Oh my God, so great. The five horsemen.
So
on to Adam's final match was in the IG tournament this past season against Craig the Barbarian. Adam goes 7. Craig goes 9. Again,
almost the same.
Adam misses Middle Earth, Harry Potter,
and he misses
Star Trek, which is a little bit surprising.
Because he's been very confident.
Adam finally gets a team's win. I really wish we could have gotten more of Rogue 2.
But I think but that's unfortunate. That's one of the things why 2020, you son of a bitch,
Oh yeah, I don't doubt if season 7, if we could have had a normal season, Rogue 2 would have definitely gotten more matches.
And Christian, I think
they went to online.
He wanted to do more teams matches for 2020. That's why he was trying to do a lot of studio recorded matches, and that's one of the reasons why he had like faction stuff. So for more opportunity for team matches, as I remember he talked about in I think in an SEN. But yeah, after that it was like just huge. He had to shuffle the entire damn deck, which is why Star Wars and IG were the prominent pillars. And when the singles tournament came, it was just like fucking blew that shit out of the water.
Yeah, this is it's a big one that Craig and I'm not gonna say Dagnino because Dagnino wouldn't have known, but just saying Craig, this could have been a big one.
Yeah, that was mixed bag.
Craig makes a comment that writing League of Extraordinary Gentlemen took a very long time to write.
Yeah.
So he gets opponent's choice. Second IG match in a row, he gets opponent's choice. Obviously, Craig gives him Middle Earth.
Well, Craig knew the game tape, so yeah.
Adam checks down 4 out of the 5 questions. He gets 3 of them. So he's able to stay alive.
Yeah.
There. So he's down 10-17 going in the final round. His 2-pointers, who said it? He gets it. His 3-pointer, Middle Earth, unfortunately, does not get it. His 5-pointer, DCEU. As Craig said in the post-game interview in that match, he knew when he got DCEU with his 5-pointer, Craig knew that he had to answer a question. Craig knew that he
couldn't avoid it. Could not avoid that.
Was not able to avoid it. Adam loses 17-19. That was his last match. And Adam actually posted on his Instagram story last night because he was doing a question and answer. Someone asked him if he's going to be in the Schmoedown. Basically said no. He's focused on other things as of this moment.
And and Christian has posted the updated finalized draft list, and Hlavac's name is not on it. So he is definitely confirmed he's not going to be playing this season.
He was definitely one of the longer running competitors that we have. Like he's been involved since season 3.
Yeah,
So-
and he's definitely had himself a long-standing
Like
relationship.
he's
with
not
Christian.
retiring though. Like he's just not gonna be taking matches in season 8. So we'll see how season 9 goes. I feel like if his schedule and time allows it, I can definitely see Adam being in season 9. So
Same here. Possibly, maybe depending on the middle of the year, if Christian wants to do another one of those little free agency pickups.
And it's true too. Yeah, he could be. I believe Christian said there will be another one in May.
Oh
like
wow,
there was.
that's very early.
Well, I think that's when it was last year. It was like May or June last year.
Yeah.
So a lot of these people that submitted to be in the Schmoedown this year that aren't on that final draft list, I would suggest getting in contact with one of the fan leagues, getting some fan league matches, getting your name out there so that when free agency comes, maybe one of them reaches out to you.
But also at the same time, while not just boning up on your trivia, Christian has shown that he's very great in character. Really get that's
Yes, you could be the best trivia player, but if you have a dull personality or character, you're not going to get it. That's just how it is. Christian is more interested in character and entertainment. Which
Does Adam have a character? I'm trying to read.
he had a couple matches where he had decent promos, like the one against Mike was fairly decent, but it was more of just him. It wasn't.
Actually, it was funny. His match against Hector, that was supposed to be Hlavac becoming more of a heelish persona when he had Cameron Rice, his buddy from a Hyper RPG, with him doing that promo. And then, of course, in the start of the match, Hlavac comes out, he's trying to be the big bad guy. And then, of course, Hector just, why can't we be friends? That kiss on the cheek. Like, you could see Hlavac, he could not help but laugh or smile at that. And even then, after the end of the match, when he beats Hector, he doesn't do the whole heelish things where he walks off.
True. And Brian, we will be actually be covering him. Matt Atchity, we will be covering here in the next few weeks because he's not going to be in this season, so we don't have to worry about, what about matches this season? Matt Atchity will be very fun to go over there. So let's just quickly go over Adam's stats here. So teams, like he only had 3 matches, so it's really hard to gauge. Like the stats aren't as important there.
No.
So
but
it's not.
I was gonna say, but if we had to look at just the team cover, team overall of, he did a very. I mean, look, yeah, it's not a lot to say. I mean, we can't say he scored high like in Steelers.
I mean, he went 1 and 2
because after those 3 matches, but even then, he still.
Like, if things go his way, there's possible Adam could be 3-0 in teams. He barely lost in his 2 teams matches in seasons 3 and 4. And obviously, we saw what he did with Liz there in season 3.
If he had a more favorite 5-player in action adventure, yeah, they could be.
So IG, he had 8 matches, 3 and 5. Again, not terrible. So here's how he does in round 1. DC, he's 8 of 8. DCEU, 7 of 8. Harry Potter, 1 of 8. Eek. Not very good there. Heroes and Villains, 5 of 6. Hobbit, 0 and 2. Lord of the Rings, 0 of 8. So combine all of Middle Earth, he's 0 for 10. Definitely, that is his kryptonite. That is the one that gets him. Marvel, 6 of 8. MCU, 6 of 8. Mixed Bag, 6 of 8. Star Trek, 4 of 8. Star Wars, 7 of 8. So I would definitely say his 3 strengths are DC, Marvel, and Star Wars. I'm just clumping DC, DCEU, and Marvel and MCU kind of together because he dominated those ones. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. Those are his Star Wars, DC, and Marvel are his bread and butter. So, and we saw what he did whenever he got DC, DCEU, Marvel, MCU in round 2. He did very, very, very well. Round 2, across the board, he actually was very good. The only match he struggled was Smets. Every other match, round 2, he was really well. The 5-way, he got DCEU, goes 3 of 3. Navarro gets movie release dates, 4 of 5. Marquis, Villains, 4 of 5. Kalinowski, DCEU, 5 of 5. Cushing, Star Wars, 3 of 5. Zipper, DC, 3 of 5. Obviously, Smets and Barbarian gets opponent's choice with Middle Earth. So definitely struggles there. His stealing outside of the 5-way and marquee, he wasn't the best at stealing. Definitely.
I don't think
he didn't get a lot of opportunities though. So it's kind of it's hard to gauge that. Now his number picking, he goes the number 2 4 times, number 3 2 times, 6 4 times, 7 2 times, 14 3 times. So he definitely has a very small group of numbers that he typically would go with. Again, in round 3, he got DCEU 3 times. Goes perfect. Spread out through his 1, 2, 3, and 5. Well, no, 2, 3, 5 because it's in Intergeekdom.
Yeah.
Marvel, he goes 2 of 2. Everything else, he gets at least 1 or 2 questions. The only one that he didn't do well on was obviously Lord of the Rings. Goes 0 for 2 in Lord of the Rings. So
I mean, he surprisingly does well when he gets Who Said It or Mixed Bag. And I mean, just that one time he got scores and soundtracks, it was a very merciful question, that 3-pointer that was able to keep him alive. But then, like you said, DC, Marvel, those are the questions that he constantly.
His career in round 3 of his 2-pointers, he's 5 of 6. It's very, very good. 3-pointer, 4 of 6. Again, not too bad. 5-pointer, 2 of 4, which is actually, if you go back and you look at 5-pointers in all divisions, 50% is really good because it's the 5-pointer is what destroys a lot because the 5-pointers are very hard.
They're that hard for a reason. They're that hard for a reason.
It's worth 5 points, so it has got to be something that.
And not everybody gets a chance to answer a 5-pointer.
Correct.
Exactly.
You don't see a lot of competitors being able to get to that 5-pointer.
Yeah.
So
despite people's insistence on wanting to look at a player's accuracy or their point scores, you have to also look at the matches that contributes to their overall accuracy and the overall points they earn. Otherwise, you're just looking at the surface. You're just it's pretty much like window shopping. You're just looking at exactly what looks appealing to you instead of actually wanting to go inside and ask somebody more information about whatever item or clothing that you're interested in. Otherwise, you're just doing it's like a poor judgment choice.
So getting to a 5-pointer really depends on your opponent as well. Because if your opponent does well, that's the only way that you get to a 5-pointer. Either your opponent does just as good as you, or they do really, really well and you do poorly, and you have to answer all 3 questions there. So
it does. It falls into that's why this game is mostly it's Schmoedown, even though it's mental, even though it's movie trivia, it's literally become its own mental sport and strategy game either way. Because no matter how much you want to earn, you always gotta think. You always gotta have those thoughts in the back of your head how you're gonna strategize once you get to round 2 and 3. Because round 1 is pretty much your trivia knowledge strength in general. Round 2 and 3 is where you really have to start strategizing. And Hlavac, despite Middle Earth, he has had fortunate luck in round 2, as you have just given us, Brandon, and in round 3, if you've shown us as well. It just you have to keep remembering. All falls down to luck, especially whatever you get when you spin the wheel and what numbers you pick. And apparently, like you said, Brandon, he likes picking the same numbers over and over again. Sometimes they benefit them, and sometimes they handicap him.
Yeah. So definitely Adam was a real staple of the Intergeekdom for a very long time.
Yep.
Seasons 4, 5, and 6, he was a main focus inside Intergeekdom. And then season 6 for me is when it changed. Season 6 is when the Intergeekdom division really changed. It became a very competitive division. Mike dominated Intergeekdom for a very long time. Intergeekdom was Mike's, he literally created the not him, but in terms of storyline wise,
he helped shape the Intergeekdom division, honestly, because before that storyline of the corruption coming up. It really was, after his match against Hector, it really was going to be, once again, another 5-way to determine who's going to play for the IG championship against Inman, and then it changed to a tournament to where we got to see great performances and new faces pop up. I mean, Keaton Marquis may have lost against Hlavac, but Keaton did actually have a win under her belt before she fought Hlavac. So,
yeah,
it's one of those situations where you get fortunate. Oh, sorry, man.
Let me ask you guys something. If you took that early version of Mike from like 5 and 6 and you put that Mike in the league now, would he still dominate?
If we saw from season 7, if we saw from last season, yeah, Mike would definitely dominate. Although
I think
Mike
Mike
would have been more serious in his match against Chance.
I think a lot of people thought Mike was done with Intergatum after Smets destroyed him at Spectacular 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a rare Mike match. I think Mike is still top 5 best IG players.
Yeah, everyone is allowed to have a bad game, but
there's a chance that Mike could potentially be season 8 comeback player of the year because he didn't really. Yes, he won the team's title there, but he got upset by Perry.
And then in the match against Shazam, he was not at his best. And then honestly, Inner Geekdom tournament was the only time we saw Mike get to be at his best. In his match against Chance, it was a great match between them. It was just a friendly competition. But as we saw in teams, they win the belts. But even then, when they play against Shazam, Mike was stumbling in round 1. He got in his head, but he was able to snap himself back in by the time they got to the betting round. But even by then, Shazam was already on a roll during that. They had dominated round 1. They did great in round 2. At that point, they just had to play strategy, which is why strategy has become very important when you get into areas like the wheel round, the betting round, and especially when it comes with your 2, 3, and your 5-pointer.
Yeah, so I really do think there's a chance that either Adam gets signed during free agency here midway through season 8, or he comes back in season 9. I think Adam can still be a very good player in the Schmoedown. I would like to see him in singles and teams. I think he's done with Intergatum, even though that's his bread and butter. I think he would do very well in teams. I would really like to see him in teams. I was bummed that we only really got one match out of him in teams there. So, any final thoughts there, Ben, on Adam Hlavac?
I hope he comes back. Everything you said, I mean, he's great. And that's it.
Ryan?
My thoughts are the same as
the Haymaker.
My thoughts are the same as yours. I think he is slightly finished with IG. He might, if he does come back during the whole free agency pickup in the season, I would like to see him do more in teams, really stay in that category, depending on who he gets picked up by. But if he is done, if he comes back in season 9, yes, I would love to see him to get another shot in IG, especially since he's going to be taking a step back. It gives him more time to actually just watch the Schmoedown in general, look at it as a fan and see exactly where he can improve on. I mean, it's new. The genre IG is still changing. It's still expanding to where it's not really set in its own ways right now. Because until then, who knows who's going to be the new top player in IG once this year is over.
Mara.
Yeah.
I'm calling it now. Mara will destroy Chandru in their title match, which I kind of hope is one of them, because I believe we're getting 2 pay-per-views in February. I really hope it's because I feel like one of the first matches of the year will be Mara Chandru, and then the whole Star Wars thing with Andrew, Molly Damon, and Laura Kelly.
Well, Molly and Laura is the undercard to Chandru and Mara. And 2 pay-per-views in February, because Christian did say once the season starts, it's going to be 3 pay-per-views a month.
But if you looked in the Discord, they did say the first month with 3 will be March.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just because the factions won't be set until literally the last days of January. So they can't really have that many matches in February. I wouldn't be surprised if the first matches are like the last week of February. Because they have to film it, they have to edit it, and they gotta give Nerd Chronic some time. They gotta give him a couple of weeks to get it done.
Yeah, he can't just be there and just be. He can't be the only one alone. I'm pretty sure they're gonna get Nerd Chronic's gonna get some extra help. He is.
Yeah, I think Christian said they hired another editor.
Yeah.
Because with all these matches, with the factions being at 12, 8, 96 competitors.
Yeah.
And I think Christian really wants to give everyone a shot. Maybe not have each faction have the same number, but kind of give at least a competitor a match. If they win, they get more. If they lose, they don't. I think
one of the reasons why he brought back 5-ways and 4-ways now, because with the rosters expanding.
I want more of those. I love those 3, 4, and 5-ways.
Me too.
I think it was at the time people were kind of I think because it's unfortunate the 3 and 5-way setup because they are very great matches. Problem is at the time everyone was so used to the one-on-one matches. Like they were all fixed on that. So when a 3-way or 5-way was thrown on, it throws people off, unfortunately. But I think now that Christian's going to be making it much bigger, and the fact that the rosters are much bigger, he's finally found a way that it's legit. There's going to be a legit reason for a 5-way match, so people can't complain. Even though they still will, but still.
Yeah, so it was great talking about the Haymaker here today. Make sure to give us a follow there on Twitter, right below there. Ryan, twitter.com/Mount Schmoedown. All 3 of our personal Twitters are there at the top. If you have not subscribed, we would really appreciate it. Make sure to like the video. Leave a comment with what you liked on the episode today and maybe some suggestions, either tweet at us or leave a comment on the video on what competitors you want to see us do. We have about 6 to 7 here set up here, so we got plenty in the pipeline coming forth. It's going to be very, very fun. Until next time, see y'all later.